Sloe gin, sloe gin. Let the alchemy begin. Blackthorn, black fruit, steeped in London's finest gin. Hi folks, we're out today on a beautiful piece of Welsh coastland, out with one of my favourite trees, which is our blackthorn trees. We're going to do some sloe picking today. We'll talk of course about our folklore and all the uses of this tree. We're also going to pick the sloes as well and make some sloe gin, so let's do that. So I just want to show you a little bit of where we are. So this is part of the Welsh coastal path. It's absolutely stunning. Now it's a couple of weeks into September here. Now traditionally you're not supposed to pick sloes until apparently the first frost, but here in Wales we don't get first frost until November usually, and if you waited that long you wouldn't get any sloes. So we pick them usually around about this time of year, and what we do is we freeze them. And freezing usually seems to release or break down the cell walls in the sloes and make them a little bit sweeter. So yeah, don't wait till the first frost. So blackthorns are my absolute favourite trees. The fruits you'll see on these are called sloes. They're part of the plum family, and although they are edible, they are incredibly bitter, so not something you want to eat on their own. But they are very, very good for infusing in alcohol to make sloe gin, which is what we'll do with them later. So our blackthorn trees are part of the rose family. So again, same as with hawthorn, you get those 5-petaled white flowers, and they're the first trees to flower in the spring. So it's one of the ways to spot them. Now they have these long leaves rather than those key-shaped leaves that you get with hawthorn. But like hawthorn, they have absolutely wicked spikes. Now, the spikes on a blackthorn tree are toxic, so you need to be really careful when you're out with your blackthorn trees, because I've heard of people getting blackthorns stuck in them and losing limbs, fingers, all sorts. So you really need to be respectful of these trees. Okay, they're not to be messed with. If you're going to go picking, you're probably best off to use gloves, okay, and long sleeves. And you know, I really recommend building up a relationship with these trees as well, so that when you do go picking, they're less likely to bite you. Okay, so really need to have a good strong respect for them. The medicinally, traditional uses are, they've been used for diarrhea. The bark in particular has been used to treat diarrhea. It's not something that's massively used in medicinal herbalism these days, which I think is a shame, because I think we're probably missing out there. Now, folklore wise and magic wise, these trees are have got lots of folklore around them as being protective trees. So there's loads and loads of folklore around people using blackthorns in protective magic in particular. And a blackthorn staff or wand is called a blasting rod. So your blasting rod, you would normally have it put into a walking stick, and the idea is that when you're out walking, if you came across something unpleasant, like, you know, if you got accosted by the fairies or something, you could use the blasting rod to make them go away, to curse them, to make them go away. Irish shillelaghs are made out of blackthorn. And I don't know much about Irish magic, but I imagine the same sort of idea. Okay. So lots of protective uses of blackthorn, quite often used in your protective charms. So because blackthorn has this spiky and protective quality, and as we mentioned about the spikes being particularly toxic, you'll often find blackthorn trees wound into hedgerows, particularly farm hedgerows. And you can understand why, because, you know, if you were a thief or if you were trying to break into somebody's land, you definitely wouldn't want to get caught in a blackthorn bush. That wouldn't be great. The berries have been found in Neolithic tombs, and apparently they were found in Otzi the Iceman's pouch as well. So they've obviously got like a really historical use as well, going back to, you know, really prehistoric times as well. Magically, again, they're associated with goddesses like, for example, Morrigan. They're under the astrological sign of Saturn, so again, things like binding, magic and things like that. And the Gaelic name for them, or the Ogham name for the blackthorn, is strafe, which I think is quite appropriate as well. It probably reflects quite well the nature of the tree. And you'll find them in fairy tales quite a lot as well, again, with the idea of them being thrown up as a protective barrier. So in, for example, the story of Snow White, the thorns that grow outside the castle most likely would have been, for example, blackthorn thorns. So that's some of the folklore around the blackthorn. So we're going to get the berries now. We're going to collect a load of these, and I'll show you how to make some Sloe gin. Okay folks, so the Sloes have been in the freezer now for about a week, which is more than enough time. Now, you don't have to freeze the Sloes. I've done with freezing, I've done without freezing. I will say they definitely do taste better if you freeze them. But if you don't freeze them, you can still put them in the gin if you want to. You're just going to have to prick the skins of the Sloes before you put them in your alcohol. Okay. So what you're going to need now to do our infused alcohol is obviously you're going to need the fruits. You're going to need, surprise, surprise, a jar, nice big Kilner jar there. You're going to need your gin. You can also use vodka if you want to as well. Gin is my preferred tipple. You're going to need some sugar, white or brown, doesn't really matter. And then I've also got some books as well that might be useful. We've got this one, which is all about home brewing. And then you've got this one here, which is all about different infused alcohols, infused spirits that you can make. So that's some different books that might be helpful. So for this method, it is really simple. All we're going to do is put these in here, add the sugar, add the vodka, give it all a bit of a shake, and we're going to leave it. So let's do that. Very simple. Sloes in jar. And then with the sugar, I'm going to add some sugar in. Now, what I tend to do is try and not spill it everywhere. Is I'll start off with a little bit of sugar, and then I usually leave the alcohol infused for about 2 weeks and then taste it and come back to it. So we'll put a little bit more sugar in here now. I'll tidy this up as well, and then we'll add the gin. So a good amount of sugar added to the jar now, and we're just going to top it up with the gin. So we want to fill the whole jar, make sure all the sloes are nice and covered. It really doesn't matter what gin you get. I usually just get a nice cheap one from the supermarket. And then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna seal this up now and give it a shake. I'm gonna give it a good shake. And then what you should do then is leave this and shake it every day for about 2 weeks. And then you're gonna leave it. So normally we start making our sloe gin about late September, and it's ready then by about Christmas. So you can taste it in between then, add some more sugar, like I said, if you need to. When this is ready, what we'll do is we'll strain it off exactly as we've strained other things off. And by Christmas time, it will be ready to drink. So get out there, enjoy making your infused alcohols. You can use this method to infuse all sorts of things. I've made hawthorn gin in the past. Blackberry whiskey is really, really good. So yeah, have a little play, see what you can do, and let me know. Hope you've enjoyed this one, folks. I'll see you on the next one.